I really did not love how sore I ended up being. I need to still figure out how to review chat because I don't see the messages after this, and I'm driving, so I can't really read. I'm also dyslexic, so like I can't read well to begin with. So reading, driving, all that, it ain't gonna happen. What I will say though is today's a nice day. It's a little gloom, but it's not too hot. Because I'll tell you, you work in a warehouse. It gets real hot sometimes. Like that one dude, I can't even think of his name, says, like, it'd get hot in the kitchen, but ultimately, people are still going to be coming with their plates out asking for food. And someone's got to feed them. They got to be fed. Not like fed, like, feds, but like fed, like ate. No, my jokes are not hitting. But anyway, I started lit today, so unfortunately no more coffee. Now I have to deal with, not coffee, no more energy drinks. So now I have to deal with coffee. I'm already froggy from no energy drinks and no sodas. I mean, it's probably good for me. I'll probably lose some weight eventually. I hope. I used to not be so fat, but then then I found out like sugar tastes real good. So like, I don't know. Like I started consuming a lot of sugar because like sugar equals yummy, right? And sugar equals joy. So if you eat a lot of sugar, you get happy. And I'm like, I really don't want to do any of that Ozempic nonsense because, like, I heard really bad things about Ozempic. And it's just like, okay, yes, there's a point that you probably should take medicine like Ozempic, and it's just like, it is whenever you're like, incapable of moving small distances. But I've heard if you take that medicine, it rips all of the muscle off of your body at a higher rate than it rips fat off your body. So you just, you just don't lose weight in a very like healthy way because burning all of the muscle reduces how much calories you spend daily. So like basically you're making it where you can eat less to get off of the medicine, which will probably cause you to rebound and gain more weight, which, I don't know. I could never do that Ozempic. It's just not, for me. I think that, really, what is for me is just, gambling, Mr. Gambler. You see inside of the hat? Maybe not. I got kind of a stiff head. Started going to the gym like a month ago, so my head's kind of stiff. But enough of the random rant of my life. More just time to reflect on thoughts. Yesterday I talked a little bit about like more rant, but about how like subsidies could fix most of our problems, and like right now we're subsidizing things that are not good for us. I really think that like I stand to that. Like subsidies could fix a lot of our problems, but I want to explore an alternative route, and that alternative route of solving our problems is really just like, I know this is going to sound crazy, just like stop working so hard. And it's just like, I know that this is a crazy concept that's like going to sound foreign to a lot of people, but like, if you don't work so hard, they need more humans. And it's just like, it's counterintuitive, but like hard work equals you not being needed as much, or more of you not being needed. So like if you just like don't work very hard, then they're gonna be like, oh, well, humans, we need those because, like, you know, they want money, and if they find out, like, you can produce all of the money that they want or whatever good you're producing, then they're like, well, like, why would we need more humans? And then you run into the problem of, like, well, maybe part of our issue in this generation, like, you know, millennials, Gen Z, I don't think Gen Alpha is in the force yet, but part of the problem, I'm gonna say a hot take that's the opposite of what a lot of people say, is I think we might be working too hard. Like, our parents did not work very hard, like, just like objectively on, like, being productive. Like, they were way less productive at their jobs than we were. If you've ever watched King of the Hill, like, you know, dude, Hank Hill doesn't do anything. Bro be chilling all the time. He just, like, sits in his office and, like, has people come in to refill propane, and, like, most of them are just long-term clients, and that's it. And, like, he earns so much money that his wife doesn't work, or, like, he does, like, these pyramid scheme things, but, like, is that work? I don't know. But really, so that's what happened, is, like, everything has gotten, like, way more efficient, but it's just, like, resulted in a small group of people, like, doing tons of work without much like, additional reward for it. Like, there's so many jobs, and at some point I'm going to make a long form video talking about it, but there's so many jobs that, like, you know, like, they used to exist, and instead of having that job employing people, they just said, like, maybe we just, like, merge it with another job. Like, they probably could do it too. And I think that, like, it's something that, like, boomers keep telling us, oh man, they ain't working hard, they spending money on avocado toast, blah blah blah. And it's just like, bro, like, I'm gonna not lie, like, there are people that are super lazy, but the problem is, like, it's hard to work hard when, like, there's no incentive for working hard. Working hard just, like, results in more work, where, like, working hard in the past resulted in, like, upward mobility, because people were looking at, like, heads of companies were, like, forecasting, like, hey, I want this business to not, like, end anytime soon. I want it to last forever. Instead, now they're like, I want stock price go up, and if stock price go up, I get bonus, and if stock price go up, I take loan out against stock, I have more money, and if stock price go up again after stock price go up, I don't have to pay back loan. I just take another loan against stock. It's just like, you know, I think that the problem is just, like, compounding. It's compounding hard, and it's compounding against us. And I think that, like, that's why I say, you know, like, dude, go to your job and, like, work hard, do what you need to do, like, do your work. But never streamline. Like, streamlining is only something that you should really do if you're paid good money to do it. And I would argue that if you are trying to streamline processes that do not reduce your personal workload, like, you're messing up. And what you honestly want to do when automating anything, or, like, semi-automating things, and I learned this from some of my previous jobs. If I would have gone back, I would have done it differently. So you should automate things not to reduce time, but to reduce effort. Because what you want is, you want a system that makes it where your effort is easier, but your time being occupied is the same. Because if you optimize something and it just reduces the time of the thing, you're just time and effort, then you're making it where you're no longer needed. But if you automate something and you reduce just the effort but keep the time allocation the same, then you're still needed, and they'll still have to keep paying you. And, you know, I think that, like, it's wild. It's really wild to me that is how it is. And I don't know. I'm getting sidetracked driving. I'm missing my caffeine. I mean, I have coffee still, but like you know, it doesn't hit the same as a raw dog and a monster right before you go to work, and then raw dogging a monster in the middle of the night to keep you awake for third shift. But yeah, I mean, ultimately my point is that, like, I don't know, like our effort that we're spending just doesn't seem like we're as a society thinking about longevity anymore. And I think that, like, we, the workers, need to start thinking about longevity, especially in this world of AI, where, you know, try to optimize things or systems that require humans and require humans doing simple things. You know, like, even like looking back at like 90s shows, it's crazy seeing like just the jobs that people did and got paid for, that, like, frankly seem like the easiest thing ever, like just the easiest possible job that you could have. Like, you know, hey, I'll use an example like King of the Hill I already used, but if you look at like whatever that show is where that dude sells shoes, like, that's so easy. And it's just like, he lives in a giant house where family matters. That dude's a police officer. He lives in a massive house. In the world, like, it's just, I don't know, it's mind-blowing to think that, like, we just keep seeing in the past, when we look backwards, we keep seeing that, like, people were rewarded more for effort than they are today. And it's counterintuitive, but, like, effort's more valuable today than it was in the past, but we receive less of a reward for it. So I'll give you an example. If we'll say we're in a water factory. If a water factory in the 90s could only produce 1,000 water bottles, and we'll say, you know, it took 1,000 water bottles a day, it took 20 people. They produced 50 each human, roughly, on average, to produce 50 water bottles a day. If that same factory can produce 100,000 water bottles, and they now only require 10 people to produce those water bottles, why are they being paid proportionally less wages? And, you know, some would be like, well, their job's simpler than it was before, but that's also not true, because, like, before, like, you know, no offense to the people that were doing these jobs before, but before, if you worked, like, warehouse work, or you worked, you know, most types of jobs, you could be fully illiterate. Like, you didn't even need to be able to read, and you basically didn't really need to know how to do math. Like, there was a guy that just, like, did the math. There was a person that, like, a mathematician or an accountant that actually did all of the math. Like, you didn't even know, you need to know how to do, like, basic algebra. And it's like, now, even though our, like, systems are simplified, it's just like, now you need to be able to, like, read complicated, like, parse complicated errors from machines. And before, like, you didn't have to do that at all. You just, like, look down, you're like, that water's not going in the bottle. So, like, now I'm gonna, like, figure something out, and I'm gonna, like, do this thing to try to get water inside of the bottle. And like part of it, for sure, part of it is the old generation just like didn't believe in process improvement. Like they just like came to work, did what their boss man told them, and then left. And like part of our push to like educate people has been like, okay, like let's educate people now. Now we can get process improvement all the way up the system, and it's just like, you know, part of that like bottom-up plumbing, I've heard it called before, is just like, it's really just a way to say like, all right guys, the people above you don't even want to think anymore. Like they want their job to be so easy, they don't even gotta like process thoughts. Like you do all the thinking, you do all the labor, and we'll keep all the money. And it's just like, you know, that's the sad reality of like the world that we're moving towards, is just like, oh, like another great example is there are many like tools and apps that were made in the past that like in the development world that like, oh hey, like this person made something, this American citizen made something, and after they made this tool, like, oh, they were given like some proportionate amount of money indefinitely. Now that's not how it works at all. Like now they just acquire the talent right out of college, pay them grossly large amounts of money, and in their contract it says any of the IPs created while you work for us are ours. And it's just like wild. It's just like we live in a system that like basically the smart are exploited and the dumb are exploited. It's just like every group is exploited except for the rich, and it's just like, it's wild. Because like before it was just like, man, dude, that dude knew how to like make that thing. That's crazy. Like he's gonna like really change society. That's crazy. Like the internet, that's crazy. That invention, wild. But now it's just like, no, like, I mean, that invention's good, but like, that's our invention. Like, we want to make that money. Like, and it's just like, I don't know. I just don't get it. I just can't wrap my head around the fact that we live in a society that like gives no ownership to creators. It only gives them to owners. It's like the only way is by having ownership. Like you're like basically circular, but like example, if you like want to own a house, own a house right now is just to have a parent that has a house die. And it's just like, that's wild. Like, or if you want to go down the other route, like you can get a mortgage, take a mortgage out for 30 years that's adjustable rate, which means like they're gonna just like yank that price up whenever they want. There's almost nowhere that is close to towns that isn't a part of an HOA, so like you have to live either super far away to avoid the HOAs with their skyrocketing fees, or you have to like live directly inside of the town under an HOA, knowing that like your HOA fees might be skyrocketed at any point, your adjustable mortgage might skyrocket at any point, and it's just like, I don't know, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense at all. The society we live in is just like difficult to grasp. But you know, I think that the reality is we gotta start like looking towards like how can we just put money in somewhere and hope that it grows a little bit. Like even like putting money inside of a mutual fund, like although I hate it, there is like some objective advantage to having money in mutual funds, even though it once again strips autonomy and ownership from average people, because mutual funds basically ensure that like, hey, we, the company, can just basically go into a mutual fund and take the, you know, the big mutual fund holders like Vanguard, BlackRock, all of them, they just take your voting rights and then they vote on your behalf because you don't have voting shares in the vast majority of the mutual funds. So it's just like, I don't know how you deal with that. Like there's no nothing. Like the voting shares are just non-existent. Like you can have no impact on how the company goes. Also, you don't pick the stocks at all. So like they can just keep investing in things that are automating away everyone's jobs. But it's like, okay, well, like at least then I get some of the upside of everything being automated away. It's like, yeah, that's true. But like also the upside is not going to mean very much if you don't have a job anymore. And like you end up having to liquidate your retirement account, which I've had to do before. When I lost my job before, like about a year ago from now, I had to liquidate my 401k just to pay my bills until I found a new job. It's just like, I don't know. It's wild to me that is the life that we live in. It's just that we have to just keep liquidating all of our assets, which like liquidating your assets like is, you know, something that like they started with like when we were kids, and I guess like GameStop kind of normalized it. It's just like it was like $40 when I was a kid. Games to them is like $3. It's just like, you know, I guess we've all been conditioned from a very young age of like, oh, well, like what we have is worth nothing, and what's worth everything. At least 10x what we have. And it's just like, well, you know, in that type of system, like why go above and beyond? And it's just like, I really think like, yeah, like work hard, you know, do things to improve, like be noticed enough to like get the higher end of your performance bonuses and all of that jazz, but like don't sweat it to the point of like, oh yeah, like I'm gonna bust my butt and they're gonna move me up. It's like, probably not, bro. Like, but like you know, if you do well, like if you make it where like legally there's gonna be a problem if they don't give you at least a bonus, like they're gonna give you that bonus. Increase right before I got laid off. It's just like, you know, working hard. Like they could not justify not giving me a pay increase. And like I think that like, you know, so like work hard enough to justify that. But also like I coded a lot of things. I've like used really complicated VBA on solutioning products, and I'll tell you what, I got the same bonus as everyone else. I got the same bonus as people who just sat there all day clearing trades. And you know, so do know that like the upward amount of bonuses very, very much not real. Like, you know, the merit-based bonuses are just like, they're kind of a scam. Like it's just like, they're not really based on merit. They're based on like, okay, this dude did the bare minimum. Alright, give him the bonus. This dude did the bare minimum, and that one time he did one thing slightly above the bare minimum. That's merit-based. Then you got the other dude who did like way above the minimum. It's just like, that's also same merit. It's just like, bro, like they're gonna raise you like 3 to 4%. That's it. It's like title changes do sometimes like result in more money, like 10%. But it's just like, okay, well, title changes also result in more responsibilities, and like title changes, in my opinion, are really only useful if your goal is to not be in the company anymore. Like if your goal is to move to another company at some point, that's worth it. Or if your title change results in you doing less effort, also worth it. But like, if your title change is just a title that makes you take responsibility for other things, it's just like, that's not worth it. That's not worth it at all. And that's, you know, that's just like one of the limited examples of us just being scammed on the regular. And like, I don't know, I'm just like sick of like, we should all work so hard for marginal increase. And like, don't get me wrong, like I think that you know, places do, especially manufacturing, like they do give you bonuses and like they do give you pay increases and all that stuff. But like, I think that, you know, you need to just be real with yourself and just know that like, you should work hard and you should like do above and beyond. But you should start asking yourself, if I was a white man in 1950s, how hard would I be working? And if your answer is you're working harder than that white man from the 1950s, you maybe need to reassess. You should chill out a little bit. Because like, I think that like, and you know, I've had to say it to people before, but the harder you work, the less humans they need to do your job. It's just like, okay, well, if you, and like, that's also constantly a battle. If anyone ever quits, whenever that person quits, the first thing they're testing before they hire anyone is, can we use the existing amount of humans to do this work? Because if we can, we're going to need money. And, you know, that's, I don't know. To me, it's just like, it's really a weird situation where, like, the existing humans in an infrastructure seem to always be, I don't know. It's just like there's just, I'm a little lost for words on it. I guess it touches too close to home, but it's just like, you know, whenever you look at systems, it's just like humans really prioritize humans that are like them. So like, you know, even me, I can even say at my job, it's truthful. Like right now, I'm trying to get one of my buddies on a different shift to come over to my shift. It's a black dude, young black dude, and I'm just like, yeah, you know, like I want him to come over on my shift because like my shift's a little more chill, and like I think that like him being on our shift, like, you know, we'll rotate who has to do the hard work, but on his shift, I think he's just often getting stuck doing all of the hard work all night. And it's just like, that's, you know, that's a chill. Like, I think that, like, you know, getting in instead of like this, like, stomp people down to like move up the ranks, I'm not going to do that. Like, that's not, you know, that's not the type of person I am. I never will do that. I remember when I worked at the UPS a long time ago, I worked there, and they would always come every morning after, like, it was seasonal help. After, like, morning, they'd be like, hey, so, like, who wants to go home early? And, like, I remember, like, I would be like, well, I'll go today if someone goes tomorrow, you know, the next time. And then the next time came, and I was like, all right, so who's going to go now? And everyone was like, nah, I got to stay, bro, blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, man, like, people really just don't, like, work together. Like, they're really just, like, super selfish. And, like, I don't know. It's not something I can relate to. Because, you know, I was raised different. I was raised to believe that, like, we need to help each other. The reality is, if we don't help each other, like, if we don't help each other, that's when the working class is really hurt, because like what they fear more than anything in all working class roles is they fear collectivism. And like, you know, collectivism is important for any society. It's just like, collectively we won't tolerate, you know, this behavior, or collectively, like, I don't want this guy down the road to like not have things so I can have things. It's just, I don't know. I just believe in a different way of society functioning, I guess. But anyway, I'm headed on into work. I'm at the last leg, so I will dip out. Not many viewers today, but it's fine. Maybe there'll be more tomorrow, but I'm gonna keep doing this because it's I think it's good for my mind too to just like verbalize some of my thoughts, put them out into ether if anyone thinks similar to me. So yeah, just ultimately don't FTK yourself, and I promise I won't either. All right, bye bye.